we need to talk about something. Now, don't get me wrong. Marriage is a beautiful thing. It is truly, it's the most emphasized sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But a lot of us are using marriage as a means of escapism. And I'm here to tell you that marriage is not going to heal you. Marriage is not going to save you. You are the only one who can do the work for yourself. Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am a PA who practices medicine. I'm a trauma coach for Muslim women and a high impact self-improvement coach. And this is my channel. It is a part of my effort to make God-conscious healing and self-improvement accessible to Muslims around the world. Recently, I put out a short video on Instagram and TikTok. By the way, if you don't follow me, my handles can be found below, where I talked about how marriage can be a container for healing. Now, I got a lot of questions on that, and you can probably actually find it on YouTube Shorts on my channel as well. And I realized that some people might be a little confused about what I'm taking. I realized some people might be a little confused about what I was saying when I said that. I might actually take it in the wrong direction. So let's talk about that in this video. We can't talk about marriage without talking about attachment. Our understanding of attachment comes from a really well-known researcher in the world of psychology named Mary Ainsworth. Mary Ainsworth did the first ever study on attachment, where she found that the way we develop attachment to our caregivers can be demonstrated in three distinct ways. We can have a secure attachment, avoidant attachment, or anxious attachment. As the research progressed over the decades, a fourth form was introduced, which was an in-between of anxious and avoidant. Now, here's the thing. Our attachment style reflects the way we form relationships with people, specifically people who are closest to us, who have the most meaning and impact in our lives. Your attachment is largely influenced by the relationship you had with your main caregiver. For most of us, that is going to be our mother or our father. For others, it might be someone else who stepped in to take care of you if your mother or father were unavailable or unfit to take care of those duties. Now, many people who've had a damaged attachment to their caregiver, especially if you're Muslim coming from a faith that emphasizes marriage so highly, you may develop a belief that marriage is going to be the thing that saves you. That's where I'm finally going to feel loved. That's where I'm finally going to be able to connect to someone deeply. That's where I'm finally going to be able to have all the things that I never had from my parents or my caregivers. And while that sounds like an exciting pursuit, the problem is it's not reality. And this is for two reasons. Number one, if you developed an insecure attachment, either anxious avoidant or anxious avoidant, to assume that that's going to magically disappear when you get married and enter into the most emotionally, physically intimate relationship of your life is absurd. It is not how our nervous system works. It is not how our subconscious mind works. The reality of it is this. For someone who has developed an insecure attachment, getting into marriage actually exacerbates the impact of that attachment. You will find that a lot of those attachment wounds that you developed in your childhood and with people closest to you are going to show themselves in your marriage. And it might happen in a way where you don't even realize what's going on. You don't understand why you're getting so angry or so jealous, why you feel so out of control, why small things that might seem so petty to any other person run you up the wall. You're constantly getting into arguments and fights. You start thinking to yourself, I didn't think marriage would be like this. Then the rift between you and your wife or you and your husband just grows greater and greater. That's the reality of what happens when someone has insecure attachment that they did not do the healing work around. The second reason why this is unreasonable to expect is that it is not possible for a single person to be our everything. Now, for someone who developed insecure attachment, as a child, our parents are our everything. Our mom is our everything. Our dad is our superhero. And that's because as children, we are extremely dependent. And we don't have the complex thinking that we do as adults to be able to understand that our parents are just humans too. And so we see them as the place that we get everything. And when that is not the experience that we have, we shift that thinking to assuming, well, maybe someone else can be my everything. Now, fun fact, this is not the adult version of you acting out. This is actually inner child thinking, right? Because it's very childish to think that someone can give you everything the way your parents were able to or were supposed to give you everything. And if you don't know what inner child healing is, I just put out a video on inner child healing. Go look that up on my channel and watch it after this one, inshallah. But in a marriage, the person that you are marrying cannot be everything. They cannot be your best friend and your confidant and your provider and the person you get advice from and the person you get security from and the person who solves all your problems and your therapist and your manager. It's just not possible. And so this is why it's so important to have a robust social system, to have friends that you can lean on. Now, you can even throw in an added complexity here, the fact that husband and wife are two different genders and men and women are different. The way we think about things is different. The way we process our emotions is different. Certain dominant personality traits differ significantly in the female population versus the male population, it's just not possible. Why am I even talking about this? It's not to destroy your hope or to make you think that you're going to enter into a miserable marriage, but rather it's to tell you that marriage can be something so incredible, and it can be the container for your healing. It can be the relationship that allows you to practice your nervous system regulation. It can be the place where you are healing your trauma, where you're coming to mend those attachment wounds and heal your inner child. It can be a big motivation for us to do the work because we care about this other person and we want to have a healthy marriage. And it becomes the practice ground for all of the things that we're learning, and a way to get feedback as well. It can be the container for our healing, but it is not what heals us. A container is a thing. It is a space. It holds something. The container is not what it holds. Rice in a container, the container is not the rice. So if you put healing into the container of marriage, your marriage is not the healing. The healing is the healing. I hope I'm not losing you guys with this, but it's really important to understand that, because otherwise we're going to place such high and impossible standards on the person that we're married to, and it's going to lead to a very unsatisfying marriage because they're never going to meet those expectations. We're constantly going to feel disappointed. We are going to think that we got a bad deal, when the reality of it is that no, you're just asking too much of something that is not able to offer what you want. So what you have to do instead is start exploring, how do I do this healing work before I get married and during my marriage in a way that is realistic to what marriage can also offer. Another thing that I want to mention here is that very often, if you are someone who's watching my channel and you've experienced trauma, you probably saw some toxic marriages around you. And so those toxic marriages often inform the way we look at marriage or think about marriage. I have another video on my channel titled something along the lines of, they told me I should be afraid of marriage, and this is what I said back. You can go watch that video as well to get my insights on this. But to give you a small glimpse, the reality of it is that there are people who had very unhealthy marriages around us and told us that that is what marriage is supposed to look like, or what it is inevitably going to be. And when we come into marriage with that mindset, sometimes we're pulling the rug from right underneath us because we're not even giving it an opportunity to be something worth working on or working for. So if you want to stack the odds in your favor and truly think about how you can have a healthy marriage that is a container for healing, then you need to think about, how do I set realistic expectations and not assume that my marriage is going to fix me or heal me, and not placing so much pressure on this other person who is there to support you and love you through it, but can't fix you themselves. Only we can do the work to fix ourselves by the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are some of my thoughts, and I will throw this out here. Again, if you are a Muslimat who feels like you have really twisted ideas around marriage, maybe some broken or insecure attachment, maybe you're struggling in your marriage right now because of the trauma you've experienced, or you're afraid that the trauma you've experienced is going to follow you into your marriage, then go to the link in my description and apply for my trauma group coaching program. We do a lot of work on this. With only a few weeks left to apply, I hope I will see you there. For the rest of you, if you like this video, then give a comment and subscribe for more. Assalamu alaikum.